You know, it's funny. Sometimes the absolute weirdest, most nonsensical corners of the internet are the ones that can teach us the most about how the whole system actually works. Today, we're going to tear one of these bizarre videos apart, piece by piece, to see if we can find the logic hiding inside all that chaos. Let's get into it.
Okay, so our investigation begins right here, with a scene that feels, well, pretty familiar. You've got conflict, a teacher laying down the law, a rule being broken. It's a classic setup for a story, right? A clear warning is given. Just hold that thought.
Because literally seconds later, bam, we are somewhere completely different. A simple, happy little transaction at a fruit stand. No teacher, no tension, just a papaya. The emotional whiplash is intense. What in the world is going on?
And before your brain can even catch up to the papaya, we're yanked into a third scene. This time it's pure panic and relief. There's an injured kitten, a worried owner. The stakes just went from 0 to 100. So we've jumped from school discipline to buying fruit to a pet emergency in less than a minute.
So this is the central puzzle, isn't it? On the surface, there is absolutely nothing connecting these things. No plot, no recurring characters, no logic whatsoever. But what if? What if the lack of connection is actually the key? What if the chaos itself is the point?
To solve this mystery, we have to stop looking for a story. Instead, we need to start looking for patterns. We're going to treat these scenes like clues left behind at a crime scene. And you'll see, once we start breaking down the chaos, a very strange, hidden structure begins to emerge.
Okay, our first major clue is emotion. Every single one of these disjointed scenes is engineered to trigger a really simple but really strong emotional reaction. There is no subtlety here. It is all about immediate impact. Fear, happiness, worry, relief.
And what's so fascinating is how they use these words. They aren't just dialogue, they're basically trigger words. Phrases like help, tumble, and final warning are universal signals for high stakes. They're short, they're powerful, and most importantly, they're incredibly easy for any automated system to pick up on.
All right, let's look at our second clue, which is all about rules. Have you noticed how often the video brings up these really simple rules and immediate consequences? It creates this basic, easy-to-understand conflict that doesn't need any backstory or character development.
And the pattern just keeps going. The language is so basic. Final warning, you know the rules. This isn't how people talk in a complex story, but it's perfect for creating a clear, machine-readable scenario about authority and discipline.
And that brings us to our final clue, the absolute simplicity of the interactions. When the scenes aren't some high-stakes drama, they're the most basic, stripped-down transactions you can possibly imagine, like buying a single piece of fruit.
I mean, just look at these phrases. They are the absolute building blocks of a transaction. There's no banter, no personality, no story. It is just simple cause and effect, input and output. It's not dialogue, it's clean, simple data. So, we have our clues. We have high-impact emotional keywords, we have simple rules, and we have basic transactions. Which brings us to the most important question of all. Who, or maybe what, is this content actually for? With these clues in hand, I think we can finally solve the mystery.
The thing is, this content wasn't really made for humans. This is what you'd call algorithmic content. It's a video that has been reverse engineered, built not to tell a story, but to be easily understood and promoted by a platform's recommendation algorithm. The jumbled scenes, the keywords, it's all designed to hit the right signals for that platform's AI.
You can almost picture the recipe they followed. Step 1, identify the keywords that the algorithm loves. Step 2, generate a bunch of simple, emotionally charged little skits for each keyword. Step 3, stitch them all together. It doesn't matter if it makes sense, because the goal isn't to tell a story. It's to feed the machine exactly what it's looking for.
Okay, so we've cracked the code. We know what this is. But the big question is, why does any of this matter? What does it mean when the media we consume is increasingly being created for machines to watch?
And the difference is just it's night and day. On the left, you have what we look for in traditional human-first stories, things like a coherent plot and character development. But algorithm-first content, it throws all of that out the window. It prioritizes repeating keywords and hitting emotional triggers over any kind of logical story. It's a totally different way of creating media.
And this right here is probably the most important thing to take away from all this. For years, we've been talking about algorithms recommending content, but this is the next evolution.
This is human creators intentionally making content for the algorithm to understand and promote. The machine is no longer just the critic. It's become the ideal audience.
And here's the really wild part. All it takes is one video like this that successfully games the system, gets millions of views, and boom. That single success becomes the new template, spawning thousands upon thousands of clones, creating entire genres of content that feel bizarre and alien to us, but look absolutely perfect to an algorithm.
So, I'll just leave you with this question to think about. We've taken apart the what and the why of this very strange video, but the bigger question remains for all of us. As our feeds start to fill up with media designed not to tell a story or to challenge us, but simply to trigger a machine, what does that do to us, the humans on the other side of the screen?